I had been the last person in the world to think that local community gatherings or people turning to each other are important, but this really hit me. So I started to read up on the topic. I came across Francis Cairncross's The Death of Distance, who says that in the cyber future, distance won't matter anymore. You can be best friends with people in a sort of virtual world. But I was realizing just how important face-to-face was. Then I read Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone, America's Declining Social Capital, where Putnam throws up this challenge of how do you bring the parts of civil society that are really valuable into this 21st century future? And then I realized that what I should do is help people self-organize to form local communities. In 2002, Scott raised $100,000 in angel funding and later $1.25 million in venture capital. The company launched its website in June 2002 and used these funds to organize events in thousands of cities across thousands of potential topics. Scott created millions of potential meetup events by listing topics as far-ranging as Chihuahua lovers to ADHD support groups. No event would happen until at least 4 individuals responded that they would attend, and that would trigger an email to them that the event was a go. He then selected 3 locations as potential venues and had attendees select their preferred location. He made it as easy as possible to organize and attend events and seeded millions of potential opportunities. See Mikolai Piskorsky and David Chen, Meetup, Harvard Business School, Case 710-408, January 2010, revised February 2012. Some 99% of those opportunities didn't trigger an event. But due to sheer volume, he needed a tiny fraction to succeed. And they did. Amazingly, Meetup attracted more than 14,000 users in its first month. 9 months later, the company had 200,000 users. By August 2003, the company grew to 500,000 users and 1,500 types of Meetup groups. The tipping point for Meetup's growth was its political mobilization around the 2004 presidential election. Howard Dean became enamored with Meetup, and by September 2003, more than 40,000 Meetup members had attended a Howard Dean event. Dean's success resulted in both John Kerry and little-known Barack Obama using Meetup for their senatorial bids. Obama even promised that he would personally appear at any Meetup event in Illinois with more than 1,000 RSVPs. In April 2005, the company made a major pivot and decided to start charging $9 per month to its organizers. Scott put a large notice on the website telling organizers, "We have some news to share that we don't think you're going to like." He was right. Meetup declined from 50,000 groups to 4,000 groups overnight, and the company lost 90% of its activity. But the quality of Meetup groups went up substantially, and the percentage of successful Meetup events increased from 4% to 45%. That bold decision to drive quality over quantity saved Meetup from becoming a platform that no one trusted. It wasn't until 2009 that Meetup returned to more than 50,000 groups, but at that point, all its groups were led by paying organizers and hosting meaningful events around the world. Meetup continued to grow revenue, but was unable or uninterested in driving any meaningful profit. It was run more similarly to a nonprofit for years and reinvested any revenue growth that it realized. And then revenue started to flatten. Meetup needed to raise money again and, in the process of fundraising, found its suitor. Enter Adam Neumann and WeWork. In November 2017, it was announced that Meetup would be acquired by WeWork for $156 million. Less than 6 months later, WeWork decided to find a new Meetup CEO. That's where I came in. A year after my meeting with Adam, WeWork was in freefall, without a parachute, thanks to its disastrous IPO attempt, which exposed years of financial rot born of Adam's leadership. The company would slam into the ground a few months later due to COVID-19, which exposed its business model's obvious fatal flaw. What if people stopped needing offices? The IPO nearly took down Meetup, and COVID could have also, seeing as we were a company dedicated entirely to facilitating in-person events at a time when you couldn't responsibly meet in person. But instead of failing, Meetup is now more profitable today than at any time in its 18-year history, and we are reinvesting that profit by meaningfully improving our organizer and member experiences. Meanwhile, Adam Neumann was replaced as CEO, and WeWork left its space in Salesforce Tower. Why did Meetup succeed while WeWork stumbled? It was in part because of our management team and some critical and